Chapter 3. Part 3. At the moment the advance was going as expected. The two dwarf detachments together with Albionna's battalions advanced along the dry bed of the canal, and the light cavalry of Scythia together with its infantry attacked the front of the palace, while the mercenaries advanced with hardly any opposition. An almost certain victory, the maniples of his legion advanced without mishap. There were no defenders on so many fronts, they would soon reach the wall and climb it without problems. The general was so confident of victory that he advanced to the front much earlier than was usual for him. He wanted the head of King Dasmir too. His soldiers reached the wall with hardly any resistance. It was then that something totally unforeseen happened. Just as the legionnaires were about to begin the assault on the palace, the central part of the wall collapsed, burying the first manipulator under its stones. An army of soldiers led by the king himself came out of the interior of the palace. The assailants did not expect such a surprising action and were disorganized. General Adrian ordered with his trumpets that the maniples maintain formation, but it was impossible. The soldiers retreated in a disorderly manner. In addition, the defenders acted intelligently. They did not advance much more than a dozen meters, just enough to cause confusion and return to their defensive positions. Still, General Adrian smiled, a very bold move, but a door had been opened for them. He ordered his cavalry, arranged in the rear, to prepare to make a charge with him in command. Nothing could be done by the defenders now that there was a breach in the wall. It was then that a messenger arrived, very nervous. "Lord, the army of Scythia is withdrawing." "Excuse me." "If General, they withdraw, totally decimated." "It's impossible. They have received reinforcements, a large army is approaching, the vanguard of that army has annihilated the army of Sicisia and the attackers of the Eastern Channel." General Adrian could not assimilate the news. A moment ago they were about to take the palace of Demember, and now they informed him that the defeat was total. "My lord, it is better to retreat south as soon as possible. Our legion cannot stand against such a huge army." Disgusting decisions. They only had to resist a measly hour. General Adrian ordered the retreat immediately. He had had King Dasmir's head on a platter. He was furious. He must vent his anger on someone. When he arrived at the camp he immediately ordered that they introduce him to the prisoners they had. They showed them to him, and without a word he killed all of them one by one until his thirst for blood was completely satisfied. When he finished with the last one, the captain of the explorers of the King of Demember, his soldiers warned him that he must flee quickly. In her haste she forgot her dagger in the bowels of such an insignificant being. Vanus used to be exclusively dedicated to the care of Arian and Aris' daughter, but since her mother was staying in Casmin, Debok decided to use her precious Kendali skills. Aris, who knew her well, knew that the Kendalis were underestimated, but with only 100 of them the greatest of the kingdoms could be annihilated. Kendalis are skilled warriors, elusive assassins, and their ability to shapeshift and make themselves invisible make them the perfect warriors for the most complicated missions. Gosberg suggested that it was best to send the Kendali to the palace of Demember to coordinate the action of the two armies against the besiegers. It was not difficult for her to reach the king's palace transformed into an eagle and return to the positions of the army of the League to receive the communication from King Dasmir. And so it was that they coordinated. The army of the League stopped its march to make their arrival coincide with the moment when the besieging army made its attack. They had to advance in the dark all night, while the bulk of the defenders set a trap for the most powerful troops of the alliance, the Legion of the Republic of Caesala. The plan was risky, but they didn't have many other options to achieve a victory that would end the siege. They knew the army of Scythia very well, and as soon as it was surrounded by two fronts it fled in disarray. They were not troops for great battles. The soldiers of Scythia were accustomed to skirmishes in their great prairies thanks to their bows and swift horses. To attack a palace was to use them in a scenario for which they were not prepared. As always, the dwarfs were very brave and resisted to the end, allowing the rest of the alliance troops to flee to safer positions. The army of the League was received with full honors inside the royal palace of Demember. King Dasmir himself received Dabok and the rest of the mercenaries. The plan has gone wonderfully. It was risky, but we are not in a position to do simple things. Your Majesty. Where is Agnorok? I want to congratulate him on his victory in the Red Mines. My lord, he is with his battalion trying to harass Caesar's legion. Indeed, Agnorok, once the perimeter of the palace was secured, advanced northward seeking to finish off as many legionaries as he could. They were among the best units in the alliance and you had to try to cause them as much damage as possible in a moment of weakness like on this occasion. But the legion was a very well-trained troop and knew how to organize a retreat. In the end the half-orc was satisfied with reaching the camp. To harass them would be to tire out his own men after a march with hardly any rest from the Red Mines. So he examined the camp until he saw at the bottom a group of about 20 corpses, all soldiers from Demember. Surely prisoners executed for defeat, a criminal act. Watching the footsteps on the ground, I knew who was the first to die and the last. He knew Captain Carmaine from when they went to Tame with the great caravan via the Dragon's Ridge. Agnorok had decided to accompany the scouts rather than stay with the king's entourage. Captain Carmaine had accepted him as one of his men and treated him well despite being a mediocre horseman. The half-orc spat as he closed the captain's eyes. May the goddess Thani be fair to you.